plan to go live, but after the week I've had, I'm now in the mood to go live. I just wanted to hop on and real talk with y'all. As titled, this is about random health exams. I'm gonna fill you in on my health exams. I don't know if every woman who's in menopause has these, but I don't know. They're it was I was thinking a lot about them this week because I'm a mom as well, and my daughter's 17, and I'm like, yeah, I got to kind of clue her in on like what health exams are going to look like for her in the future. So, here's what I had done this week. And I wonder if I should give some background first. Actually, I'll start off with the exams. So, first of all, I had an ultrasound, a vaginal ultrasound this last Tuesday. So, this Tuesday of this week. And basically, so those of you who might have heard the word ultrasound, maybe you're not super privy to all the places and ways that ultrasounds can be given. You may be like, oh, ultrasound is what pregnant women get on, the gel and the outside of their belly, and they run the little thingy around. Yes, that is an ultrasound. This was a vaginal ultrasound, which means there is a wand with the same gel, but that goes up inside. And so I had to get that done. I'll tell you why I had to get that done. So I've been on hormone replacement therapy, oh my, for about the past almost 2 years, I would say. All out of pocket, by the way, not covered by my insurance. So that's always a joy. But I've been having that done. Now, shortly, because when I went in to get it done, I had not had a menstrual cycle for several months. I was almost into menopause. I was almost there. I was close. Started HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and about a month later, I had a menstrual cycle, or I bled like menstrual. And so, menstruated, I guess would be the word. And they were concerned about that, like, huh, that's interesting. Since you haven't been bleeding, but then you just started hormone replacement, and now you are, they did want to do some checking to make sure everything was okay. So at the time, I did have an ultrasound then, and I was still having bleeding, and they're like, well, let's do a DNC and a polypectomy. So, you know what? I forgot what DNC stands for. Let's look this up. Let's actually look up what a DNC stands for. It's not the Democratic National Committee. Haha. It stands for dilation and curettage, minor surgical procedure performed in the uterus to remove tissue from the lining of the uterus, endometrium. So they're basically making sure by doing a DNC on me at the time that I didn't have anything going on there. Also did a polypectomy, which was to say, let's do some scraping. We'll check for any polyps. If there are any, we'll biopsy those. But they didn't get anything out of that. By the way, if you have to go in for a DNC, please do talk to your medical provider about it. It wound up being I had a terrible time with it. They basically gave me a Valium before and then said, okay, you should just take an ibuprofen. It hurt really bad. That Valium was in no way adequate for relaxing me and helping me not be in pain. And I let them know about that later, and they were like, okay, we've been getting more feedback about that we're not giving people enough preparation so that it's not so painful. If I've never had an IUD inserted either, but I've heard women have said that is an incredibly painful procedure and hopefully will not be as much anymore because they're finally doing studies on how it's so unbelievably unnecessarily painful for the same reason. They don't prepare women. They're like, well, whatever, you're just getting this done. You're strong. And it's like, fucker, just because I can squeeze a baby out of my vagina doesn't mean that it's pleasant and, oh, I just suck up all pain. Fuck. Anyway, I could go on about that. Anyway, so I had that DNC done, polypectomy done, everything was fine, and I didn't really have any bleeding after that. So I've been rolling merrily along for the last several months. I am so close, y'all. Today is November 7th. I'm so close to being officially in menopause. On December 12th, it will have been a full year since I had any menstrual bleeding. And I know that doesn't sound like that exciting a thing, and I don't know why, but it's just like, because the frustrating thing about menopause and perimenopause is you cannot be officially considered in menopause unless you've gone 12 months without a menstrual cycle or menstrual bleeding. And then, so imagine, you're like, okay, and really it just comes down to certainty. Like, I just want to know what the fuck's going on with my body, right? And it's all uncertain though, because you can be 4 months in, 7 months in, 11 months in, and have a menstrual cycle, and suddenly you have one. Well, guess what? Now you're bounced back, reset the clock. I literally have a menopausate shirt that says, it's like, restart checkpoint. It's literally that. And so it's very frustrating because you're like, okay, now I'm back. And I think the other thing that adds to the frustration is because medical doctors out there, even women, even in obstetrics and stuff, have had so little training and there's so little research done on what women experience in menopause and also ways to treat it, how to help them cope with it. That it doesn't just have to be a set it and forget it. Oops, you're in menopause. Guess there's nothing we can do. There's absolutely fucking stuff people can do. Anyway, rant. Like I said, I have a lot on my mind. Okay, so this is what we're doing. So I had, let's see. So by December 12th, I'll not have had a menstrual cycle, except for about 4 weeks ago, I had about 3 weeks in a row where I started noticing a little bit, I would call it spotting, but that's even not right. I just had a little bit of bleeding. Didn't look like menstrual, but it was like, well, it's still there. And my, the doctor at the midwifery that I go to, Cherry Hills Midwifery, for my hormone replacement therapy said, at any time, if you have any bleeding down there, let us know. So I did. I was like, okay, well, I had bleeding. It's actually not happening now. It only happened about 2 or 3 weeks. Like it literally, I was like, maybe I have a fucking hemorrhoid down there. Maybe I have a zit. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'll be honest. I probably could have done a little more diligence to try to figure out what was bleeding, but I wasn't really going down there to examine. So anywho, because I told her about that, she goes, well, have you get a vaginal ultrasound. So that happened Tuesday. I don't know the results of that. However, so I got that done. And then the next day I got a note or a message in my patient portal saying, please call the office to schedule a telehealth appointment to go over your results. Now, the fact that it wasn't just a message saying nothing to report, like everything's fine. I'm kind of like, because I feel like they've said that before. We're like, yep, nothing weird. If you've ever gone, we'll get to this in a second. If you've ever gone for like a mammogram and stuff, usually they'll send you a letter or something. And you'll get a message saying, hey, everything's normal and you're fine. But when there might not be a normalcy is that when they want to talk to you and have an actual appointment to follow up. So I'm a little nervous about that. Now, the fact that they were like, yeah, we'll have the appointment. I got the exam Tuesday. I called Wednesday because they said to, and they scheduled me for a Monday afternoon discussion, telehealth appointment. The fact that it wasn't like, oh, let's get you scheduled today. Okay, that puts a little peace of mind because usually like they'll want to move pretty quick if they think it's something super concerning, which we're going to get to in a second. So I've got that going on. That's exciting. Now we're going to get to the other part. So in my armpit, and I want anyone who's old enough to remember I think it's the movie, was it Terms of Endearment? It's a movie with Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger. Old movie. I think it came out in the 80s. I was young when it came out. I'm not going to spoil anything. If you want to go watch it, do. But basically, the whole thing is about a relationship between a mom and a daughter. As the daughter's, young, and then she gets older, she has her own kids and her own, family, and that's a bit fraught. And then she gets cancer. She gets breast cancer, and it all starts because at a medical appointment, they notice, hey, there's a lump in your armpit. So imagine my angst when last summer, I was in the shower and I'm like, what's going on there? Felt a lump in my armpit. I'm like, so immediately, because I'd seen that movie, I'm like, fuck. And now listen, and another thing that people don't realize about women, and this is not every woman, but a lot of women out there have this thing called dense breast tissue. You actually have little lumpy dumpies in your breasts, and they might be nothing. It's literally just dense breast tissue. But because you have those things, when you go get your mammograms, they also like to do ultrasounds to make sure that's all those are. So I'd had dense breast tissue for as long as I can remember in getting exams. So I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. But again, remember, I've got all this angst about seeing that movie. And I'm like, and anytime you do find a lump, it's always exciting, as in nerve-wracking. And so I was like, okay, so I let my doctor know again. I'm like, felt this. They're like, yeah, let's get you in for an exam. I was due for a mammogram anyway. You're supposed to get them every year. Ladies, do get them. Men can get breast cancer too, by the way. Did you know? But get your mammograms. I'll have a funny thought about that coming up shortly. So I did. I went in, got a mammogram, and I just got the mammogram, and then they're like, let's have you come back in for an ultrasound. Now, this is back to the traditional ultrasound, not the vaginal ultrasound I just talked about. This is more like, yep, let's put, it's external, let's put some gel on there, little thingy, little scope, so that we can see inside. So I went in and, got to lay like this, and they have to do this whole thing, and they examine this thing, just ran that sucker over that for about 15 minutes solid. By the way, ultrasound technicians, I salute you. I bow to you. I don't know how the fuck you see stuff in those imaging. I know you're trained to do it. Plus, did y'all know? I mean, like, they're doing a wand and then they're literally like one-handed typing. I don't know if they're ambidextrous or not. It's kind of impressive. Like, you literally watch them wand whatever they're doing, and then they're just like doing measurements all with like one hand. It's wild. Anywho, so props to them, and thank you to all the people who have helped with that, because that's wild. That takes some stuff that I would not be able to do. So I got that done. So so they're checking this out. They're like, we're just not really sure what's going on with this lump. So then I had to get a biopsy. Now, there's a word. There's a word that's super exciting, as in unpleasantly exciting, because anytime you get a biopsy, that means, hey, we need to check if there's cancer in this or not. That's basically what it means. It means putting in a needle into wherever part of your body this thing is. So just guiding a needle, and they do that through ultrasound too. Ultrasound guided needle, so they can see what they're doing while they're putting the needle in there. And they basically take a core sample. That feels like Armageddon or something. They take a core sample out, and will bring that out, and they'll go do lab tests on that, dissect it, you just check it and see if there is any cancerous stuff in there, or if it's benign, if it's malignant, blah, 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 blah. So they did that. That was around Christmas. That was awesome too. So that was 2023, December 23rd. I go in and get that done. So all Christmas week, I'm like, let's wait and see if I've got breast cancer or not. So they called me I got that done on December 22nd. They called me Christmas Eve and let me know it came back benign, or they called it PASH. Hold please. Now I'm going to look that up, because biopsy result. Here we go. PASH biopsy result. I don't know what that means. PASH means, Lord help with this, pseudoangiomatous stromal hyperplasia was found, which is a benign non-cancerous condition of the breast. Holy shit. Let's just stick with PASH. POSH. It feels like posh, but it's PASH. So that's what I had. So again, emphasis on the word benign. That's great. Cool. However, and I wish I wore a tank top so I could show you guys. The lump is noticeable. Okay. At first it wasn't. It was like, well, I know it's there, but like someone would have to look really hard to see it. This was last December, right? When they did this biopsy and stuff. Now, fast forward, we're in almost a year later. This summer, I was like, I can see that shit. And they're like, let's do a follow-up in April. Because remember, I got the biopsy in December, like, we want to do a follow-up in 6 months. So we did a follow-up again. I went in and got the whole mammogram shit, and I got they didn't do a biopsy, but they just did the ultrasound over this again. They're like, okay, well, here's the thing. They're like, it's bigger. It's almost doubled in size. And I'm like, I kind of thought so too. And they're like, we are pretty sure it's benign. We're not going to recommend a biopsy, but we think you should go get a surgical consult to see about getting it removed. What's the harm? Just get it taken out so it's not really a concern anymore. I'm like, fair. So May of this year, I went in and had a surgical consult, and I really appreciated that person too. Y'all, I've been meeting all the medical people here. And my friend Ann Wynn posted this today. She goes, once you hit 50, it's like your body, it's like a check engine light. All the lights start going off. It's like, oh my God, we have hit the limit of the warranty, and everything's starting to go wrong, or raise alerts. That's what it feels like. So I go for a surgical consult. They're very nice. And they're like, looked at all the exams, looked at all the results. They're like, well, let's be real about what this is. If we do a surgery to remove this lump, and it gets like, it's half the size of my fist, y'all. So it's there. Like, I know you can't see it through the sleeve. They're like, it's bigger. We can remove it. Just know the recovery is about 6 months, because they'll take all that out, and they're like, it's not just taking like a compact little ball out. It's like, it's got tendrils and shit. And if it's like grown out, or what they would call metastasized, it could be really more complex to take out. And they're like, then you're going to have a scar, or, an incision. and I can't work out. Like you definitely can't raise your arm for several weeks. And you have to really kind of try to stay immobile in this whole section. Now that's a lot. I do try to work out. I do stuff around the house, like where I, lift things, whatever. So that this arm would basically be like, not doing that for a while. Plus, I was about to travel, go on at least 3 trips for the next 6 months, and I'm like, well, that's gonna kind of make that all shitty because I'm like, I'm gonna have to like have a bag, or I'm gonna have to like be lugging luggage, or whatever, putting on coats, blah 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 blah. So and they're like, look, if consider that. We always want to have you consider the recovery time because that impacts shit. That impacts your life. And I really appreciated that. They're like, plus, again, it's benign. So what we could get it scheduled now, we could have this thing removed. Or they're like, you could kind of wait and see. We could come back and circle back in 6 months. If it gets bigger or you notice anything annoying about it or just anything new, just call and let us know. I was like, you know what? At the time, and again, this was May, I was like, I'm gonna let it sit. I'm not going to get anything done. I think you're right. And then again, I was looking at, because again, we all don't live in a microcosm or a bubble where it's like, oh, I can just get a surgery and not worry about all the recovery. All of us worry about that. We all have lives to live. We have, depending on where we live, do we have steps at our house or not? Do we have a job that requires any physical activity? Are we going traveling? Are we not? We always have these factors that can impact whether or not we should get a surgery. There's practical considerations to have here. And I'm the primary breadwinner. Granted, I am very lucky. I'm waving my hands more around right now than I usually do because I have a very digital job, which does entail me just sitting like this. So I can certainly recover from this thing. Okay, clear that air. But I decided to wait. So over the summer, I'm kind of looking at it, I'm like, and right around late summer, I'm like, it does look bigger to me. And sometimes that can be affected. Your breast tissue and stuff can be impacted by hormones, for God's sake. Stress. It's great. It's wonderful. But I'm like, yeah. And then one of the other exams I get, and I try to get it once a year-ish, is skin cancer screening. I have a history. My dad has a history. And I also know somebody who, she found out really late that she had melanoma and she died. And so one of her last missives to a bunch of us, the people that she knew, was like, fucking in my honor, in my name, go get skin cancer screenings regularly, please. Save your own life. Because she wasn't doing that regularly, found it too late. She died, literally died. Woman had 2 kids and a husband, dead. So I take that very seriously. And so I do get checked. Now, when I went in, it was a new office because, anytime you have new insurance, you've got to like figure out where you're going to be covered at. So this was a brand new place. They were like, of course, they were examining me all over. Like they examine you head to toe, even in between your toes and in your scalp and everything. So naturally they're like, what the fuck is this? And so I was like, yeah, I gave them the whole story I just told you. And they're like, okay, yeah, fair. They're like, just be cognizant. They're like, you may just want to get it taken out. Because if it does get bigger, that thing can actually start impacting like nerve conduction and stuff like that. And I was like, that's an interesting point. And this might have been psychosomatic a little bit. That's like when your brain is like, ooh, something is wrong, and it starts manifesting symptoms. Who knows if those are actually real or not? But I started kind of noticing like my left arm would fall asleep a lot more often while I'm sleeping or laying there and trying to go to sleep. And I'm like, is that because of that fucking lump? I need to call it Morla from Fight Club. Just like, if I had a tumor, I'd name it Morla. I should just call it Morla instead of that lump. But anyway, so then I was like, all right, now here's another aspect that figured into all my thinking here. Yours truly, your girl here, is on a health insurance plan currently that has a $9,000 annual deductible out of pocket maximum. I hit that a month ago. I have spent over $9,000 on my medical care and medical appointments this year. So $9,000 plus, and that's on prescriptions, etc. That's in addition to monthly premiums for my health insurance. So if any of you are watching this and you're not from the United States and you're not familiar with our illustrious health insurance system, that's how that works. I haven't even looked at what next year's deductibles are going to be. My husband got a job which has full-time benefits and a bigger group insurance, so I think we might be okay there. If we had to keep buying an exchange, I don't know. Anyway, it's an exorbitant amount of money. There's very few households that have just $9,000. Just got it laying around so I can go pay for my health insurance and my health care. Ugh, fuck. Anyway, I hit that deductible. So as of like mid-October, I'm not having to pay for literally any medical anything, as long as it's something that's in network and is medically necessary. Emphasis on that. If I wanted to go and get like, oh, I want to get my toe removed or something, and nobody's telling me that I need to get that done, I'm gonna have to pay for that. That's an elective thing. This thing, though, is preventive. This is about saying, we don't want you to have breast cancer, Rachel, and maybe, that whole get a surgical consult and stuff just to be sure. That is preventive. That is medically necessary, considered medically necessary by the people who underwrite my health insurance. So that's where we're coming from there. So I'm like, well, and then I'm looking at my schedule. I'm like, well, the last traveling I did was in September, and I don't travel again until March. I'm going to South by Southwest. Maybe now, I know that would still be in a 6-month recovery window. However, that'd be in the latter half of it. Maybe I should look at this. So I did call, and again, remember, I was like, and I'm having my arm fall asleep. Maybe it got bigger, whatever. So I did call the surgical consult people and said, okay, told them all the stuff I just told you. They're like, you know what? Good idea. Let's have you schedule an appointment. They're like, however, we want you to go get new imaging done. So I went today and I only got a mammogram on this side, on my left side breast. And then, and they also tried to get that little area too. And then I had ultrasound done here. So here's where I'm going to talk about mammogram. I had a hilarious thought today because y'all, if you've not gotten a mammogram, I'm going to back up a little bit so I can show you. I'm not going to actually, obviously I'd get restricted video here. Basically a mammogram is, they have a machine. Okay. It's like a table. I'll just, here's the table, but then they've got the camera, and in between these two, they have like a plastic, thing or a leveler that they can push up and down. Guess what this is supposed to do? This leveler is supposed to meet this table, and guess what's supposed to be between that? Your breast, your boob. So, what they'll do, they'll have a technician. They're very good at this, but they will contort you to a degree where they're like, okay, go up here, have your boob be in here, and they're going to smoosh that guy down, and they smoosh, y'all. It is smooshed. It is flat. God help, and I had a breast reduction surgery. I used to be a double D, 48 double D. I was giant. And there's women who are bigger than that. Nowadays I'm about 40C, but smoosh. And then the camera will move around. And what they'll do is they'll have you put up there. They'll have your arm, you're like resting up here. They'll have okay, then tilt in and make sure your body's facing this way. They'll have you stand a very certain way. And they're like, okay, breathe normal. They're like, okay, I'm going to tell you to take a deep breath, and I want you to hold it. And then you hold it for about maybe 5 seconds. And that's when the camera is doing its shit, where it's like, let me take all the pictures while you're staying as still as possible. They do that about 3 different ways with each breast when you're getting a regular mammogram. My thought today was like, wow, that's a protrusion or appendage or, whatever on my body. I wonder how men would deal with that if they had to get their schlong, put in that machine. Probably not great, especially the smooshing part. But, fortunately, there's a lot less nerve stuff going on in a woman's breast as there is in a dude's, equipment, if you will. But, anyway, I had that funny thought today. Probably any man watching this is like, that's not funny. It's like fair. But I had that done today. So yeah, I had 3 different pictures taken of left breast, including this area. And then they did lay me down and have me do the whole ultrasound thingy again, super impressed. I go to Invision too. I think it used to be called, or maybe still be Invision Sally Job, which is fine. I don't Sally Job with somebody. It really does feel like you're going to a spa as you're about to get a lot of invasive crap done. And there's always that, cancer, big scary word that you do often hear in that environment, because they're checking for that kind of stuff. That's why you get breast screenings and mammograms, is because you're making sure you don't have breast cancer and other stuff. So, but that's what I did today. Again, it was delightful. The delightful part of it was, hey, I don't have to pay any money for this. If I had not met my deductible, I would have owed almost $800 out of pocket to get that exam today. Medically necessary exam. Love it. But that's what went on today. Now, so my expectation, they did say the lump was stable, hadn't really gotten bigger. But I think I am going to go to the surgeon, and we had to get that done. They just wanted to make sure and kind of see where stuff was. as of last time when I had that consult in May, they're like, you can move forward or you can wait and see. And I think at this point, I'll be like, I think I want to just move forward. Now would be the best time. If I can get that surgery scheduled before the end of December, who knows? Then it's, I have it covered by my insurance 100% and I don't have to pay any money. Again, that can be a big fucking deal. Um, Without before my deductible was paid, it's at least $750 out of pocket to get a medically necessary surgery done. Then you get all the fucking like, ooh, anesthesia costs this much, and oh, your prescriptions afterward, and all this stuff. Anyway, that's what's going on with me. So I did feel very poked and prodded this week. I had my boob laid out on a slab along with the armpit, and had a vaginal ultrasound, which was exciting too. But yeah, so all that to say, your body, it's got its own life cycles on it and stuff. It's got its own duration, if you will. Just kind of waiting and see how long you got with it, and so that's kind of where I was this week. And I wanted to talk about it. So here I am talking about it. And in the meantime, I went up doing some excellent work anyway for my clients and stuff, and got an over 50% open rate on an email I sent out for one client, which I'm like, bam, thank you, ma'am. But that's how things are going today. And now I just realized I still haven't put deodorant on today, because when you do go get a mammogram, they want you to not have all that lotion or deodorant on, because that can mess up the imaging. I should go put some deodorant on. It's 2:53 p.m. Mountain Time, and I haven't put any deodorant on yet today, so nobody's complained yet. But I'm gonna go do that. With that, I'm going to wish you all fond farewell. I would love to hear, though, in any comments, if you're watching this, tell me about your exams. Get as TMI if you want. I'm beyond it. I give no fucks. I am definitely part of, is it Melanie's We Do Not Care Club? I don't fucking care. I will say vagina. I will say breast. I will say biopsy. I will say all that shit. It's reality. I don't care. These are literally just body parts. I feel like it's my car, and I'm talking about brake pads at this point. Not that I would know how to change a brake pad, but I know that's a term. Okay. But that's where we are. So let me know how you're feeling about all this stuff. If you're, and man, if you're in the point where you're like, hey, I don't really have to think about being healthy, do at least, I would just say always. I'm trying to instill this in my kids. And again, it's all subject to how much coverage you can fucking get. Get your preventive annual exam. Get it, please. If you have the means to get to it and have it done, I know it's hard to schedule that, especially if you're working full time and stuff. You're supposed to be able to take time to go get that done or flexibly plan it and stuff. I know it's not easy for everyone. Do try to get it. If there's a Planned Parenthood in your area, women, you can get that. You can get your annual exam done there. Please get that done. Just check on yourself. You just never know. You never know. Your family medical history has shit to do with it. Environment has stuff to do with it. Your nutrition has stuff to do with it. Just the luck of the fucking draw has stuff to do with it. So that can all impact what might be happening with your bod. I haven't even talked about the fact that as I turned 50, my esophagus decided to start revolting and rebelling against everything. And now I'm on a medication that is $5,000 a pop. But again, I hit my deductible. Yay, it's free for a little bit. Starting next year, I'm going to have to pay for a couple of those in a row before I hit that deductible. Yay. But I have to take that every week. Injection in my belly to make it so I don't feel like I'm swallowing acid all the time. That's glorious. Again, just happened when I was 50. My body was like, think I'm done with that. So get preventive exams. If you have insurance, they're covered. Get your eyes examined. Go to the dentist at least once a year. Go get your preventive exams. Women, you know all the things. Men, if you're watching this, you have one of those too. Just get them. My dad had prostate cancer, caught stage 1, and he's fine now. If he hadn't been getting exams, that wouldn't have been his story. He wouldn't be with us probably right now. So please get your exams. If you don't live in the United States and live somewhere else that makes that a little bit easier, sweet. But anyway, I'll leave you with that. And I'll keep you all posted on the hilarity of medical exams and what's coming next. So you all will know when I know. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.